earlier, looking at this, very critical for our guest tonight, and it's the issue of turnout. Ladi, if you look at it, we did say that we had perhaps from 1999, the poorest voter turnout that we experienced was in the last election cycle, which is in 2015, which is 41.54%. There is likely, because of the figures that we're seeing, from the figures that we have so far from about 10 states, it's not looking very good. Some of the release figures in Lagos, especially, if you hear those figures, it will tell you something, that there is a likelihood of a lower turnout this time around. What do you think may be responsible? The shift in the date?
That would probably be one thing, Prof, wouldn't it? It would probably be one of the things.
Many things are responsible. First of all, the need to educate our people about their civic responsibility is very low. I went to vote. I voted the VGC, so I paid attention. Incidentally, that is the VC's polling unit. I monitored the young people, especially the youth corpus. I was watching them. Do they really understand what this process means? Some of them were sleeping, tired, and I don't blame them because they were hungry. Some have not slept. So I was holding a discussion, saying, do you really understand the weight of what is going on? I think we need to educate our young people the relevance of their participation. No, let them understand that it is actually their future that is at stake. And I don't think even we, the elder people, we, the elders, are factoring that in what we do. Yes, there is a politics to win votes, but there's also a mentorship process, which it has been said that whatever fathers do in moderation, their children will do it in excess. So if I cheat and abuse power to win politics, I have told those following me that is actually the way to go. They will do worse. So I'm concerned about all of that. How are we conscious of the fact that in this process we're going through, we are actually mentoring future leaders? It has been said there's a difference between a politician and a statesman. Politicians only think about the next election. The statesmen think about the next generation. I'm concerned about the impression we're leaving behind. Incidentally, Mr. Jide, we had a brief conversation. I was picking his mind when we were sitting in the lounge. How do they perceive what's going on? There's now a massive migration to Canada. While you are playing with these numbers, many of them are actually busy pursuing their visa to leave the country. You know, what is creating that disinterest? What is creating that disconnection? What is creating that lack of connection, there's no picture of the future of the nation in their mind. So these numbers may mean something to you and I because he puts us in power, but is he really painting a clear picture of a better Nigeria that our children want to connect to? I am concerned about that.
Sheung, one of our viewers is telling you here that some of the reason for apathy could be PVC collection issues, just in case you're wondering as well.
Yes, but the big question is, INEC gave us those figures. Lagos State had 5 million PVC collected. So the question is, if Lagos figures come in at last, those who came out to vote in Lagos were not up to 2 million. So that's a big question, isn't it? And I started drawing again. I wanted Jide to come straight off to the board and maybe give our
so
viewers...
you go to the board.
Please.
Yeah.
You have been invited to the board.
He's a great guy. So I wanted us to paint a scenario for a lot of Nigerians who are watching right now. So when the figures for the permanent voter cards came out, there's some states, 5 of them, which came topped. in terms of the highest number of the PVC. And I'm painting them out here. So we have Lagos, number 1. We had Kano, number 2. And number 3, we had Katsina, Kaduna, and
Delta State.
And Delta State, right here. So in all of these states, interestingly, out of all of these states, none of them had arrived. So the issue of logistics, why is it that almost every election, collation, and announcement of results, these states come almost at the last time?
Again, because they are special states. They are states that everybody is waiting to look at what sort of numbers they are. And because they've got big numbers of people who've collected permanent voter cards, it seems to take a lot more time to count, to sort. This time around, you've got 73 political parties on that presidential ballot box. So it's going to take a lot of time to find out if those numbers are really accurate. And you know what the popular British poet said, Geoffrey Chaucer, in 1386. He says, better late than never. So we hope the results are accurate, and what we expect INEC to do is not to give us the APC results or the PDP results. What millions of viewers all over the world are waiting for, if they're going to be as patient as Geoffrey Chaucer in 1386, is that we want the accurate results. We've waited for so long, and we have to make sure that the results that really come out, especially from the southeastern states, we're looking at Ebonyi and Enugu State. We want to ensure that whatever concerns that they have in there, the results that come out from those 2 states are accurate.
All right, Jide. You may, Laddie.
Before you go on,
okay.
Before you go on, may I suggest that you change the colors?
Because some viewers say they can't actually see the PDP representation
for the PDP
on
the map. So maybe you change it to a darker color.
It's the code of their party, though.
And maybe if you have a darker green, that can work.
Okay, maybe we'll give them some darker green.
But Sean's favorite color is red.
So, but one thing that comes to mind, Laddie and Ijoma and Nauta, is the issues of logistics. It was a major problem, isn't it? If you look at a state like Borno State, for example, in terms of landmass, you can find all of the southeastern states all in Maiduguri alone in terms of landmass. Could this be also responsible for the turning out of this result?
Exactly. I specifically like Borno State. Borno State is 73,000 square kilometers. That's one of the major challenges the Nigerian defense is facing with Borno. To put it in perspective, Borno State is 20 times the size of Lagos.
So you find
just think
20 Lagos in Borno State.
So just think of the logistics. If Lagos is having several challenges, even moving around, I've lived in Lagos for most of my life. I haven't been to several places in Lagos, and Lagos is the smallest state when it comes to landmass in the country. You now have Borno State 20 times showing the size of Lagos State.
As we see it now, we're not even halfway.
Sure.
And maybe the question I need to ask you now is, do you think this delay, you know, the speed of the process, tends to create unnecessary, perhaps, anxiety within the system?
I think so. I think for someone that voted on Saturday to wait all day Sunday, Monday, and only 9 states?
9 states and the FCT.
Has only come in. It can lead to frustration. First of all, it creates room for unnecessary imagination. What are they doing with the numbers? Plus, supported by unfounded rumors on the WhatsApp. And I think it speaks to the need for INEC to accelerate and improve the process. We live in the age where you now purchase something and instantly you pay it online. I saw the figure that online purchasing now in Nigeria is at all-time high. So we're already in that culture of uploading and downloading information online. Why would our voting process not be upgraded? I think and I hope and I pray that this will be the last time Nigerians will suffer unnecessarily, so that the actions they took how many days ago, that the results will be presented to them. This is totally unnecessary.
Okay, Prof, we put some people on pause there in the corner, and they're really still. So well, let's unpause you and let you finish.
No, their batteries ran down.
All right. Jide is a statistician, I am the political journalist. So he's got a lot of figures. Perhaps I'm not very good with mathematics. So let's look at something very interesting. Perhaps where Ladi and Ijoma Nelta would like to dive in the pool if they know how to swim, is this area that we've always looked at. For example, we know that the APC, for example, controls 22 states of the Federation. Are you surprised, for example, that we see a situation where the PDP has won Ondo State? Are you surprised?
I'm not too surprised
that is one of the states controlled by the APC.
Yes, it is. But if you look at what happened in 2015, the incumbent won in Ondo State. That was the first time was going to be winning in Ondo State. So it's going to be interesting to really look at the sort of margins that will come out from the other states. But here's what really surprises me. Out of the 6 zones, there are only 2 zones that we've got no results yet from. The Northwest and the South. Only those are the only 2 zones that no results has been released yet. Here's why the 2 zones are very important. The Northwest is the incumbent's strongest zone. He's never lost in the Northwest. 2015, he had a margin over the PDP of 5.7 million votes. In the South, that is his weakest zone. 2015, he had a margin of defeat by over 4 million votes. So it will be interesting to look at what sort of numbers will come out from the South, especially because the incumbent is yet to win a state in the South and the Southeast. But let's focus on the Northwest, and if we have time, we'll look at those other 2
just before you go further, the election of 2015, Ladi,
yes.
You may jump in here if you may, was something of this kind of divide. You remember, Ijoma Nelta, where we had the Buhari having more he held sway in most part of this area, and the PDP, Goodluck Jonathan, held sway in most part of this region. For what you've said, Ladi knows a lot about the politics of Ondo State. You have an idea of what happened here when a state that controls, a party who controls a state is losing there.
Well, from what I know, really, is that they had it coming because there had been intra-party crisis, even with the issue of the primaries and the candidates. So there was dissipation of the voter concentration in that state. There was quite a number of candidates went to other parties to go and see if they could actualize their political ambitions. So the ruling party in the state didn't really have the concentration, even though it was in control, but it didn't really have the concentration. A lot of its voters were dissipated in the direction of where their individual candidates went. But the PDP remained largely focused within the state, even as an opposition party.
Another interesting part is not only in the presidential election did we find a surprise in Ondo State. Ondo State also, you remember that the ZLP candidate for the senatorial election, the former governor of that state, Olusegun Mimiko, lost. He came a distant 3rd in that election. One interesting thing is that the incumbent senator also lost in that election, losing to a PDP candidate. Does that speak about some of the situation happening